Good evening, this is TCN English News Edition, and you're watching with me, Ning Hui Kim Kong Sai. First, the headline. Kuki Zo Council rejects ADHOC committees for ADCs, demands separate union territory. KOHUR relays harassment of Indian Army against Kuki community, stress on equal distributions of fund with that of Valley districts. Dengue cases surge in Jaipur. Citizens are advised to take preventive measures. News in detail. The newly formed Kuki Zo Council KZC in a press statement on Sunday has expressed firm opposition to Manipur government's decision to form ADHOC committees for the 6 autonomous district councils ADCs in the state. The council denounced the move as a direct challenge to democratic values and the autonomy granted to the ADCs, arguing that the decision undermines the elected representatives' authority, thereby eroding the foundations of self-governance in tribal areas. The KZC contended that the resolution approved by the Hills Areas Committee (HAC) through resolution number 59 on October 14, 2024 contradicts the provisions of the District Councils Act of 1971 and its accompanying rules of 1972. According to the Kuki Zo Council, these measures infringes upon the powers and functions established by law, marking a serious curtailment of the ADC's constitutional mandate in Manipur, labeling the government's recent actions as a calculated attempt to suppress political and democratic freedoms. The KJC emphasized that this maneuver is seen as a threat to the rights of the tribal community in the state. The KZC also expressed concern that this move raises doubts regarding the Manipur government's commitment to democratic principles and that the exclusions of 10 Kuki Zo legislators from the 20-member HAC in the decision-making process reflects a lack of transparency and trust. The Kuki Zo Council reiterated that since the violent events of May 3, 2023, the Kuki Zo community has lost confidence in achieving justice within the current political framework of Manipur. They stressed that the creation of separate union territory with legislative authority is essential to ensuring security, autonomy, and a dignified future for the Kuki Zo people. The KZC further issued a stern warning against any attempt to conduct ADC elections or assign committee members without first addressing their demand for union territory. They stated unequivocally that any such efforts would be met with strong opposition and boycotted by the Kuki Zo community. Reports have emerged from the Kuki community alleging persistent harassment by the Indian Army and Manipur police against volunteers protecting Kuki villages. Conversely, armed cadets of Arambai Tengkol are said to move freely in Imphal, raising concerns about unequal treatment. Specific allegations include Kuki volunteer face constant army operations and arrests without warrants. The Army Forces Special Power Act AFSPA is enforced in hill areas where 260 Kuki Zo villages have been burned, but not in Valley districts where secessionist groups operate. Meitei groups accused of violence against Kukis receive heroes' welcomes. State governments allege complicity in violence and ethnic cleansing. Exclusions of Kukis from job opportunities, with most state government positions filled without Kuki representations. The Kuki community demands a separate union territory for protections and dignity, citing the inability to coexist with Meiteis in a united Manipur. They emphasized the need for safeguarding in remaining Kuki villages and preventing further violence, ensuring equal citizenship and rights, recognizing the community's contributions to India's freedom struggle through the Indian National Army. These reports highlight deep-seated tensions and allegations of systemic injustice, sparking concerns about regional stability and human rights. Reports from Manipur suggest that human rights are being compromised with allegations of institutional cleansing against the ethnic Kuki population. A recent development that has raised concern is the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways allocations of rupees 399.36 crores for 57 road projects, all of which are located in the Valley region, that constitutes only 10% of the state's geography. This move has been criticized as discriminatory against the Kuki and Naga populations who occupy roughly 90% of the land. It's been alleged that the Meitei-led government prepared the proposal and that the central government appears to be favoring the Meitei community, which is electorally significant. Former Home Secretary Z.K. Pillai has stated that the government of India is taking the side of the Meiteis, which seems to be increasingly evident. The conflict has resulted in severe restrictions on movement, with Kukis unable to cross the valley to travel to hill districts. Roads connecting Kangpokpi and Churachandpur districts have been cut off, and roads to Tingnopal, Chandil, Churachandpur, and Persol remain inaccessible through National Highway 2. Key concerns are biased allocations of resources. The central government's allocations of funds for road projects only in the Valley region has been criticized as discriminatory. Restrictions on movement. Kukis face severe restrictions on movement, with roads cut off or inaccessible. Humanitarian crisis. The conflict has resulted in dire shortages of essential food and medicines in Kuki-dominated hill districts. This development have been widely condemned as a gross violations of human rights, with calls for the government to take immediate action to address the concern of the Kuki population. In Lamka, dengue cases have been on the rise, with 134 cases reported as of October 25, 2024, according to District Malaria Department. The affected areas include Mongbungzang, Kamdoveng, Zinhang Lamka, Marveng, Zolzam, Gamnumzang, and Ramthar, Sempanjar, Monglenpai, and Tuibong. From October 1 to 28, 2024, 91 new cases were reported. Breakdown of dengue cases. April recorded 3 cases, May 3 cases, July 7 cases, August 17 cases, September 13 cases, October 91 cases. The areas with the highest number of cases are Zenhang Lamka with 19, Jinkompang with 13, and Tuibong with 15. Prevention measures to be taken are to prevent the spread of dengue. The Malaria Department has conducted fogging in affected areas. Symptoms of dengue: high fever, severe headache, pain behind the eyes, joint and muscle pain, rash, vomiting, bleeding. Prevention tips to be taken are to eliminate standing water, use mosquito nets, wear protective clothing, use insect repellents, regularly clean and dispose of waste. In a significant initiative aimed at enhancing healthcare accessibility for local communities, Assam Rifles recently organized a mega medical camp featuring consultations from highly specialized doctors. The event held at Vungzagen High School, Matavili, Churachandpur District, Manipur, brought together a team of super specialists across various fields, including general practitioners, gynecologists, homeopaths, orthopedics, and dermatologists, to provide comprehensive medical support and awareness. The event was conducted in coordination with GM Motiwala Education and Welfare Trust Nasik and Tunu College of Nursing, Churachandpur. A team of 8 doctors from GM Motiwala Trust, 30 staff nurses from Tunu College of Nursing, and 7 specialists from District Health Services joined hands to make the event a grand success. The camp was part of Assam Rifles' ongoing commitment to community welfare, providing much-needed healthcare services to underserved areas. The event showed an impressive turnout with hundreds of locals benefiting from expert consultations, screenings, and free medical advice. In addition to checkups and consultations, the camp provided essential medicines and organized informative sessions on preventive health care. A total of 589 people, including 130 males, 235 females, and 224 children, benefited from the medical camp. In a courageous and selfless act, an army officer stationed at Rangapahar military stations in Dimapur district saved the lives of 2 minor boys from drowning in Dhansiri River on Sunday afternoon. The incident occurred when the 2 boys aged 5 to 6 years were playing near the river bank when they accidentally fell into the deep and muddy water of the river. Despite their attempts to stay afloat, the currents pulled them downstream. Major Visavdeep Singh Atri, who was incidentally passing through the area, heard the cries of a woman and the boys crying for help. Without any hesitations and disregard to his personal safety, the brave officer sprang into action. Being a trained swimmer, he dove into the river and fought against the currents, slush, and vegetations to reach the struggling children. Displaying extraordinary bravery and determination, he managed to bring both the boys safely to shore. The boys suffered no serious injuries and were reunited with their families. Local residents and eyewitnesses lauded Major Atri for his heroism and presence of mind, which prevented a potential tragedy. This was stated in a press release by Defense PRO. Security forces have ramped up operations across Manipur's Hill and Valley districts, conducting extensive search operations and area domination exercises to maintain order and safety in the region. The initiatives are focused on fringe and vulnerable areas, aiming to curb any potential threats and ensure the stability of the state. To secure the movement of essential supplies, authorities facilitated the passage of 320 vehicles transporting necessary items along National Highway 2. Strict security protocols have been implemented in all high-risk areas, with additional convoy escorts arranged for sensitive segments of the highway to guarantee the uninterrupted and safe transit of goods. As part of the heightened security measures, a network of 109 checkpoints or NACAs has been set up across various districts spanning both the hill and valley regions. The checkpoints are aimed at maintaining strict surveillance and enforcing compliance with the law. During the operations, 7 individuals were detained by the police for violations in different districts. The Indian Army paid tribute to his infantry soldiers through ceremonies across northeastern states, while marking a pivotal moment in the nation's military history. At military stations in Manipur and Nagaland, soldiers honor both Infantry Day and Shaurya Diwas, commemorating the historic 1947 defense of Kashmir that marked independent India's first successful military operations. Military officers gathered at war memorials in Laymakong and Zakama, where serving personnel and veterans laid wreaths to remember fallen comrades. The general officer commanding of the Red Shield Division led the tributes alongside officers and soldiers of various ranks. The ceremonies included a documentary screening highlighting the Infantry Corps' crucial role in military operations and national defense over the decades. The October 27 celebrations hold special significance as it marks the day Indian troops landed at Srinagar airfield in 1947, successfully preventing Pakistani tribal forces from capturing Kashmir in what became a defining moment for the newly independent nation. This year's observance brought together multiple generations of soldiers, reinforcing the continuing traditions of service and sacrifice that define India's infantry forces. workers died and 7 were hospitalized after they inhaled toxic fumes at textile factory in Gujarat's Ahmedabad on Sunday, police said. The incident occurred at Devi Synthetics in Narol industrial area of the city. 9 workers inhaled toxic fumes that leaked when spent acid was being transferred into a tank at the factory. Deputy Commissioner of Police DCP Ravi Mohan Sani said police received information around 10:30 a.m. that 9 persons were affected due to toxic gas leak in a factory in Narol and were taken to LG Hospital, where 2 died, he said. 7 workers are hospitalized, of whom 4 are critical and are being treated in the ICU, he said. A preliminary investigation revealed that spent acid used in the printing and dye industry was being transferred into a tank when the workers nearby were affected, he said. The official said a team from the Police Forensic Science Laboratory, FSL Industrial Safety and Gujarat Population Control Board GPCB officers reached the site and started probing the exact cause. Industrial Safety and FSL officials are probing to find out if the factory followed due procedures regarding NOC, etc. And police will take action based on their reports, he said. Four Indians were killed after a Tesla car they were traveling in caught fire after crashing into a divider near Toronto in Canada just after midnight. It is currently unclear where the victims were heading or if their Tesla was a self-driving model. Among those who died were 30-year-old Geta Gohil and 26-year-old Neil Gohil, siblings from Godhra in Gujarat. They were traveling with 2 other individuals who too died after the car caught fire. An individual who had just recently become a Canadian citizen was also killed in the accident. The Tesla crashed into a divider, following which its battery caught fire, leading to the death of all the 4 individuals at the scene. A woman in her 20s was pulled from the burning car by passing motorists who stopped to help, reports said. She was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. An eyewitness said that several cars stopped to help and were trying to break the windows of the car to help those involved in the crash. According to Toronto Fire Deputy Chief Jim Jesho, an exponential amount of water is required to extinguish an electric vehicle fire. Once the blast has been put out, the car's battery cell was disposed of in a dumpster that was then filled with sand and transported to a dump yard. In another incident, 3 students from Punjab died in Canada in July this year when a car they were traveling in veered off a highway. The 3 passengers were thrown out of the vehicle and died at the scene due to their injuries. The driver of the car sustained serious injuries in the incident. A 48-year-old man and 26-year-old woman were killed and 2 others were injured when an air conditioner exploded at their office in Raipur, the capital of Chhattisgarh, on Saturday. Police said the incident took place on the 2nd floor of a residential commercial building near Mini Mata Chowk under Devendra Nagar police station's area late in the evening. The employees were doing their work in the automation's art office when the incident took place. The impact of the explosion was such that a window in the office broke and fell down. Hearing the sound of the blast, the employees working in the nearby office came out and immediately informed the police and fire brigade team. After this, the police team along with the fire brigade and ambulance reached the spot and began the rescue operation. A police officer said there was a lot of smoke on entering the premises and the man and the women were lying unconscious, but were immediately taken to hospital where they died during treatment. The police officer said that the 2 people who were rescued from the spot have been admitted to hospital. In August, an 18-year-old man was killed and his friend injured when an air conditioner's outdoor unit fell on them from the 2nd floor of a building in central Delhi. The CCTV video of the incident that surfaced online showed Jitesh sitting on a scooter in the Doriwalan area and talking to his friend Pranshu. Suddenly, the SC unit fell on them, causing injuries to both. They were quickly rushed to a hospital where doctors declared GT's death on arrival, while Prashu was admitted for treatment. An FIR was registered under Sections 125A Act endangering life or personal safety of others and 106 causing death by negligence of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, a police officer said. One person was killed and around 40 were injured in Israel's Tel Aviv on Sunday after a truck collided with a bus stop at the prominent intersections in the city. Israeli police suspect it to be a terrorist attack and are investigating the driver's motives. Notably, the incident occurred close to a Gilad military base around 10 a.m. when the truck driver, an Israeli citizen, veered off course while traveling from north to south and crashed into the bus stop, ramming both the bus and the people waiting there. The driver was subsequently shot and neutralized by an armed civilian in the area, according to a report by news agency Reuters. Around 40 people sustained injuries, with some in serious conditions. Those injured were quickly transported to nearby hospitals, including Tel Aviv's Ichilok Medical Center, where one of the victims tragically succumbed to his injuries. Seba Medical Center, another medical facility in the region, treated 8 of the injured, including both civilians and soldiers, police say. The Israeli media reported that the driver was an Israeli Arab from Kalansawi, a town in central Israel. Iran-backed terror group Hamas released a statement shortly after the incident, praising the heroic ramming attack that was carried out near Mossad headquarters. The Gilad area, located near Herzliya, houses the headquarters of Mossad, Israel's national intelligence agency. This area also accommodates several units of the Israel Defense Forces IDF intelligence branch, most notably the prominent Signals Intelligence Unit, A200, known for its role in national security and cyber intelligence. A natural response to the crimes of the Zionist occupations against our Palestinian people in Gaza, the West Bank, and Jerusalem, and its ongoing brutal massacres, especially in the northern Gaza Strip. The Times of Israel quoted Hamas as saying, though the terror group did not take responsibility for the action. Israel Defense Forces on Sunday said it eliminated 3 Hezbollah commanders in southern Lebanon. The commander of Hezbollah's Bin Jbel area, Ahmed Jafar Matak, was eliminated in an IAF strike. A day later, the IAF also eliminated his successor and Hezbollah's head of artillery in the Bin Jbel area, said IDF. According to Israel, these 3 Hezbollah commanders directed and carried out numerous attacks, terrorist attacks from the Bin Jbel area, including launching anti-tank missiles towards Israeli civilians and IDF troops operating in southern Lebanon. After airstrikes on Iran, Israel on Sunday targeted Hezbollah in Lebanon. So far, around 70 Hezbollah fighters have been killed by the Israeli military. Precision strikes were carried out on 120 targets in southern Lebanon, destroying the group's weapons factories and storage facilities in Beirut. Bombing were reported in the southern cities of Tyre and Nabatiyeh. Amid intensifying attacks, Hezbollah warned residents of more than 2,000 towns in northern Israel to evacuate, as they had become legitimate targets. Similar warnings were issued to communities in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Meanwhile, at least 36 Israeli soldiers were killed since the ground operations began in Lebanon on September 30. On Saturday, Hezbollah said that it had launched a drone attack against Israel's Tel Nof air base. The group claimed it also targeted an intelligence base in the northern Israeli city of Safed with a rocket salvo. Israel strikes on Gaza kills 22. Israeli strikes on northern Gaza killed at least 22 people on Sunday. Also, in a separate incident, a truck rammed into a bus stop near the Israeli city of Tel Aviv, wounding 35 people. The attack occurred near the headquarters of Israel's Mossad spy agency. Three people have been killed after mid-air collisions between two light aircraft over the southwest region of Sydney, Australia. A Cessna 182 and Zabiru aircraft collided on Saturday morning in an area popular with recreational aircraft operators and pilots in training. The tragic mid-air collisions happened just before midday on Saturday over Ballybladberg near Abdali, around an hour's drive from central Sydney. The first aircraft, a Cessna 182, was carrying two passengers that authorities have said was flying from Cessnock to Wollongong, while the second, identified only as a Zabiru, likely a Zabiru J170 or Z230, had a single male occupant. The Cessna 182 was discovered in flames after impacting with the ground, while the Zabiru was located about 1 kilometer north of the Cessna wreckage. NSW Police Acting Superintendent Timothy Coleman described the accident as unsurvivable and told reporters that the early conclusion of the cause of both wrecks would appear to be mid-air collisions, Coleman stated. Authorities initially claimed that the two occupants of the Cessna 182 were male, but later retracted these and said the identity and gender of both individuals has yet to be determined. However, police have confirmed the identity of the Zabiru pilot, as this aircraft did not burst into flames upon impact. Dozens of emergency responders arrived on the scene, and police have set up two crime scenes. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau, ATSB, will send a team to both crash sites to investigate. The regulator released a statement saying its investigators would undertake site mapping, examine the records of both aircraft, and recover any relevant components. It has also solicited members of the public to submit any footage that they may have captured of the planes before, during, or after the crash. The regulator added that its preliminary report will likely to be published 2 months from now. Both crash sites are located close to two flying schools, Sydney Recreational Flying Club and Dave's Flying School, and the region's uncontrolled airspace is said to be popular with training and private aviation flights. A look at Dave's Flying School's official website shows the flight training school does indeed operate a fleet of Zabiru aircraft. Local councillor Susie Brandstater told the Australian Associated Press the Zabiru aircraft is believed to have taken off from an airfield in the Oaks, where both flight schools are located. Local resident Bernadette Eloy told the Sydney Morning Herald that she saw a man suspended from a bright green parachute in the air near the crash site. It is not known if this is the one of the deceased or a survivor of the collision. That's all from us tonight, and we thank you for joining our program.